So you were asking about the remainder theorem. So if I give you a function and you're told to find f of 2, so then what you can do is you can, instead of plugging in 2 for x, like you would normally do, you're actually wanting to use synthetic division. So the 2 goes in the box, you don't change it. The only time you change what goes in the box is when you're like dividing by a bubble or you have a bubble.
Or if it's x minus 2.
Or, yeah, if it's x minus 2, you change it to a plus 2. But if you're asked for f of 2 exactly, you're going to leave it as is. And then we put down our coefficients, make sure that you're not missing any. And I would say that's the biggest thing on this test is, I forgot to say that in class today, so good for you guys. It happens like 3 times on the test where like x squared is missing, so you have to put a 0 in there. And so as far as when I did the test, I actually did get one wrong because I missed a 0 in there. Because there was a missing one. So just be careful about that. So then you go through this whole process. This is not fun. That's what I thought. Okay. And then your answer is going to be that f of 2 equals the remainder of 45.
Okay.
And so that's what, if you had plugged in 2 for all these x's, that's what you would have gotten.
45?
You can, but just to be thorough, I'd probably f of 2 equals 45. So this question is about radical equations. So whenever you have a square root in the problem, your first thing is to get the square root by itself. So we're going to move the...
Wait for the... What just
Woo, we're going to move x over. All right, so we're going to move x over to the other side. So we have a square root of 31 minus 9x equals 5 minus x. So we did this one in class, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, and then now that the square root's by itself, I can square both sides. The reason we move it over though is because we have to square the whole side at one time. So we want the square root to be by itself so it actually does cancel. So we have 31 minus 9x, but on the other side, we're gonna have to box this out in order to get what this is. You can't distribute your squared. So then we get 25 minus 10x plus x squared. And then get it equal to 0. So add 9x. So we have 0 equals, and then I'm going to rewrite it so x squared is first. And then you solve for x. So we box it out. I think that'll work. And then set them both equal to 0. And solve. So we add 3, so x equals 3, and x equals negative 2. But this is one of those ones where you want to double check that they actually work. So you're going to take that 3 that you have, and you're going to plug it in for x, and double check. And take the negative 2, plug it in for x, and double check. And I think, did they both work? I think when we go through it, it's not normal for them both to work, but I think on this one they both work.
Oh yeah, watching on the video.
So.
Yeah, so we just made another video of the same thing. But anyway, so they both work when you plug them in, which is abnormal, but it happens. So then these are your answers. So the big thing is get the square root by itself and then square both sides.
Five.
So the center on this one is negative 2 and a positive 4, and the radius is 5. And so then if we go to graphing it, after I've written it down, I'll then not even look at the equation anymore because I don't want to mess up my negatives and positives. It's really easy to do. So there's your center. And then you count 5 to the right, 5 to the left, 5 up, 5 down. And then draw your circle in there.
Last time, because I just went to 25. Or I don't
Ooh,
know.
you didn't square root that?
I didn't square root it once.
What are you going to say? So the negative 2 is coming from, we're taking the opposite of what's in here because it's normally x minus h squared. So you need to do the opposite. So the center is negative 2, and then this one would be, usually it's y minus k, and so because it's already a minus, then it's a positive 4, it would be your k value. And then the radius comes from this, it's squared, so you have to square root it to find your radius.